being that education is not a power given to Congress and thus not necessarily a cost to be paid with federal dollars. What changes, if any, would you propose? Fida Morton.
Well, since I'm right in there in the middle of it as a public educator, and I'm not your typical public educator, I gave up my NEA membership back in the late 70s. And would totally disagree with the philosophies of your National Education Association and your Virginia Education Association, but I made that choice and gave up their protection and everything else that they offer to try to entice you into that. The Department of Education at the federal level is one of the worst mistakes that we ever did to public education in America. Right now, all school districts around Virginia are going to have to RIF teachers. At our school, 33 positions are going to have to go. If you took the funding that goes into the Department of Education at the federal level, I think we might be able to fund the teachers in our schools at the local level so that we can continue to educate our children. It's not a constitutional requirement for education, although it is very near and dear to all of us. I would support anything that would reduce the size of the Department of Education, vote to defund it in any way, cut back on that. But the key thing with education is it's at the local level. You need to have your states and your localities involved in the education of your children, and that's where we make our decisions, is at the local level. What's good for each location, what's good for each state. And we know best as parents in our local districts what we need to do. I served 9 years on the local school board in Fluvanna. I was there defending parents' rights and working for the better educational programs of our children. We need to get back to the localities. Thank you.
I tried to enter this campaign and run a campaign from the basis of education. I mean to the point of trying to realize what you say in a campaign trail sometimes is different from the reality you face in Washington. I've actually done some work, and I can't find a reason for the Department of Education. Now, maybe there is one. Some people here could tell me. I have no idea. My wife is a 6th grade teacher. The stress level that the Department of Education puts on the teachers is unacceptable. It's supposed to be for sharing ideas. Now, my wife has gone to seminars on the local level, put on by companies. You want to improve education? My solution for most everything is capitalism is the cure. Companies will put on good educational opportunities, information transfer between teachers. Department of Education just doesn't seem to do anything of what it was designed for. The dropout rate now is the same as it was when it was started. I do believe that we must have out-of-the-box solutions for solving education. I will take this moment to tell you about an education program we started here in Campbell County called Education Partners, and it will, I believe, with the help of people like Senator Steve Newman, who's going to help take it statewide after he's out of the session, we will solve much of the funding problem we have in Virginia and in America, because we need out-of-the-box, capitalistic, conservative solutions to solve all of our problems. As far as the Department of Education, we need to find something else to do with that money.
I think that the Department of Education is something that needs to be looked at seriously. In fact, I think that it's probably something ultimately that could be completely eliminated. I think there's nothing more important than the education of our children. I think it's an extremely important thing that is done at the state level. It's done well. It's done at the local level. It's done well. At the end of the day, the education of our children falls upon local school boards and local teachers who get out and educate our children and make our society a better place. And I think that that's absolutely critical. The problem with the federal Department of Education, in addition, is that what it represents. It represents a mindset that we've seen in Washington for the last 50 years, that the government is the answer to every problem. Every time a politician wants to try to get reelected, he comes up with some scheme in order to put on a brochure and spend more government money, more taxpayer money to get elected. We see it again and again. In my opinion, that's exactly what the Federal Department of Education has become. I would submit that if you took the money that is sent from our pockets right here in this room, sent to Washington, and then sent back to us, and we're supposed to be thankful for it. If you took that money, you could put more money into education and still have more money in your pocket at the end of the day. If I'm elected to go to Washington, D.C., I can tell you this, I will stand against the overblowing of government programs, and this is a perfect example of what I would fight against. Thank you.